About subgraphs. In Comfy UI, go to Workflows and open the Juggernaut text to image workflow. Here you can see a bunch of nodes, just like before. Hold the Control key and drag to select most of the nodes, except the export node, which in this case is the save image node. Now that the nodes are selected, look at the icons at the top. One of them says Convert Selection to Subgraph when you hover over it. When you click it, all those selected nodes are combined into a single node. If you right-click on this new node, you will see an option called Unpack Subgraph. When you click it, the nodes go back to how they were before. Let's do it again. Select 2 or more nodes, then use the Subgraph button to create a subgraph. Resize it so it is easier to see. A subgraph is a way to group multiple nodes into a single reusable block. Instead of showing a long chain of nodes every time, you collapse them into one node that represents an entire process. You can think of a subgraph like a function or a macro. Inside it, there can be many nodes, but from the outside, it looks simple. It is very similar to smart objects in Photoshop, which can contain multiple layers inside a single object. Subgraphs solve 3 main problems. First, they reduce visual clutter. Large workflows can become messy very quickly, and subgraphs help keep things readable. Second, they help reuse logic. If you repeat the same setup many times, like a prompt encoding chain or an image preprocessing step, you can reuse it instead of rebuilding it every time. Third, they make workflows easier to explain and share. People understand a few clean blocks much faster than dozens of individual nodes. At the time I recorded this tutorial, subgraphs were still being improved and may still have some bugs. A subgraph does not make a workflow faster by itself. It is about organization, not performance. Performance depends on the nodes inside the subgraph, not on the subgraph wrapper. A subgraph is like putting many Lego pieces into one box and labeling the box with what it does. All the pieces are still there, you just do not need to see them all the time. You can see the title says New Subgraph. Let's double-click on that and rename it to something that makes sense, like text to image, and maybe also include the model name. So Juggernaut text to image. Now it looks like a simple workflow with only 2 nodes. I do not like the order in which things appear in the node, so let's right-click on the node and select Edit Subgraph Widgets. Here you can choose what parameters to show in that node and what to hide. Let me hide all of them so we have a clean subgraph that does not show any parameters. You can enable them one by one later if you want only the ones you need, but we will build those manually so you understand them better. Let's close this panel. Now let's go inside the subgraph. You can see that all the nodes are there, plus some input and output. On top, you can see a new tab next to the workflow name. If I click on the main workflow name, that is how we exit the subgraph. From there, we can go back inside, and from inside, we can go back outside. You can see the output where the image is saved. If we go inside the subgraph, that image output appears here as a link. From this dot, we can drag a connection to where it says checkpoint name. Now that field becomes gray, just like when we added a primitive node before. If we go back outside, you can see that the checkpoint name appears here. Let's go back inside again, double-click on that name, and rename it to model to see what happens. Now when we go back to the main workflow, you can see it says model instead of checkpoint name. So this is very customizable. Let's go back inside and drag another connection, this time to the positive prompt, and rename it so we know what it is. Do the same for the negative prompt. Now when we go back outside, we have positive and negative prompt visible. Go back inside again and drag connections to width and height, and maybe do the same for all the parameters from the K-sampler. Now we can see all those parameters exposed here, and when we go back outside, we have this single node that acts like a mini interface that can control everything we need. You might say that it looks nice, but does it actually work? Let's try it. And the answer is yes, it works. If you right-click on it, you can see it still has other options, like node color, bypass, and so on. With that subgraph selected, right-click on the canvas this time, and you will see an option called Save Selected as Template. It asks for a name. I will name it Juggernaut Text to Image, then press Enter or Confirm. It looks like nothing happened, but where was that template saved? Let's open a new workflow. Now right-click on the canvas and go to Node Templates. You can see that name there now, and you also have the option to manage templates and remove them. When I select that template, it is added to the canvas with all the nodes, connections, and settings it has inside. Now we can just drag a link from the image output and add a Save Image node, or connect it to other nodes to create more complex workflows. Over time, this simplifies workflows because we can organize them into pieces and group them by category or function. Let's go back to the first workflow, just to show you that any node or combination of nodes can be saved as templates. There are cases where some connections can break when some nodes are inside a subgraph and others are outside, so keep that in mind. For example, I use this Pixaroma note node a lot. I want to save it as a template so I can access it easily next time. This might not be useful for everyone, but as a workflow and tutorial creator, I use this a lot. I will save it as a template and give it a name. Now I can go to any other workflow and quickly access that template from anywhere. You can also have subgraphs inside other subgraphs, like boxes inside boxes. You can disconnect or remove links at any time. I could select two nodes here and combine them into another subgraph, or go outside and combine all these nodes, even if some are simple nodes and one is already a subgraph, and it will still let me create a new subgraph. If we go inside, all those nodes are there. If we go back outside, we can unpack it using the icon, or right-click and choose Unpack Subgraph. These things will make more sense as you work with them in practice, so play with them and have fun. When you see that icon on a node, you know it is a subgraph. It also has the icon that lets you go inside the subgraph, which is another indicator that it is not a simple node. Remember that you can also use the interface to edit subgraph widgets. One thing I forgot to show is that you can use those dots to rearrange the order of the parameters shown in the subgraph node. This way, you do not need to go inside it most of the time. You can control things directly from the outside. Now we are going to